right, a very good morning and welcome to yet another exciting edition of the Top Flight television program, Morning Ride. Morning Ride on the beautiful Monday morning, being the sixth day in the month of May 2024. My name is Onometano.
And I'm Francis Ofule, very, very much ready to do business with you on the Metano this morning. Welcome you to this wonderful ride on behalf of the board, management and staff of this beautiful station. It's already a delight to be here this morning, Tano.
Yes, sincerely a delight, and what's been all over the space now. It's we are gradually getting used to the very hard economy, if you ask me, because just the shuttle from this point A to point B, it's a value chain. And you see the guy telling you, fuel is up. You know, you go to the market, you want to buy something, they tell you, we have to move our goods from point A to point B, and that is what is affecting our price.
Yes, it's all these things, they really are worrisome, really. This morning on the news, a report about Gary shows that Gary has gone to an all-time high. Forgotten the figures particularly, but the bucket of Gary, which used to be very cheap back then, is now costing over 3,000 and something naira. And it just makes me wonder really how our wives are managing with the monies that we've been giving to them. Many of us have maintained the same amount of money we've been giving to them over time. So now our women are becoming miracle workers. They are turning these little monies to bring great things to the home. And now many families have cut their 3 square meal pattern. It's either 2 square meals, or either you don't eat in the morning or you don't eat in the afternoon, or one meal carries you the whole day. Somehow families are surviving. Check out families where they have large numbers of children who demand via the need to handle their nutrition 3 square meal. Can imagine what the parents go through on a daily basis. Then you think about the fact that there is an argument about whether to increase minimum wage, or whether to fight the cost of living. That debate is quite pivotal to the existence of Nigerians. Not of Nigeria, because Nigeria will still remain where it is. The enclave, the geographical enclave is still going to be here. But would Nigerians see the light at the end of this tunnel? That's a very big question. Because in this tunnel, the air conditioning is out, and the people are suffocating. The very sophisticated tunnel. So the light at the end of the tunnel is really very tiny. But Nigerians are hoping, and they say the greatest gift or the greatest strength of humanity is hope. The fact that even when a man is dying, research has even shown that people decapitated, their heads still react once in a while. So Nigerians now might be decapitated, but our heads are still turning, wondering where to go if we can survive this decapitation, really. And the questions they're quite numerous. Looking at the president now, who became an action doer, an action man. Many presidents have spoken, but he came in and took action. Took action by removing fuel subsidy, which many experts have shown that has not been entirely removed. Came in by trying to make laws that would really sophisticate our economy and make it better. But we are in a situation where Nigerians have to hope, think beyond any box at this point in time, and hope that things indeed get better. But
That's actually been my prayers, I just also allaying the palpable fears, while also believing, just like you did say, that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. But Nigerians, being who we are, we're such very resilient species, in the sense that while suffering, we're still smiling, because there's no how, even if I have to take 1 square meal a day, I'll still put a smile on my face. Like I just said it, that no matter the condition, put a smile on your face. And that's, smiles. You cannot show your next square meal, but you are smiling because you believe that the next minute definitely could be better. And true to real and to type, they're just knocking themselves. Naturally, you see yourself passing through that phase of yesterday. and we are into another phase of a Monday that will gradually also go into extinction
Yeah.
and position you for a Tuesday. So with once there's life, basically, to me,
There is hope. There
there
is
is
hope.
no soul. So it's on that note we like to say, yes, the whistles have been blown already by the Delta State Electoral Commission, Independent Electoral Commission, by saying that the local government elections should start getting set, because I think it's getting more than 3 months now since they left office. So we have invited a stakeholder who will be talking to us after this time.
All right. All right.
So we'll take a break and we'll come back Monday's edition of the program, Morning Light. Stay with us right back. Elijah, welcome back. And in case you're just joining us, it's Monday's edition of the Top Flight television program, Morning Ride. And we'll take our very first shot this morning where we'll be taking an x-ray on the state of the nation, by extension, the state of the state, as it affects the local government elections that are just around the corner. And we have to bring in someone who is on the other side of government by virtue of being the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC. I'd like to welcome Prince Henry Eze.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you.
Yeah,
Good to have you, Prince Harry. Good morning.
Well done.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Welcome
I'd
to
like
Morning
to
Ride.
have you with us on the panel this morning because we heard rather from the news that the Delta State Independent Electoral Commission had a press brief some few days back to kind of debunk, a purported timetable that came from nowhere. So quickly, I want you to speak to this conversation. You had the dialogue, I'm sure. Okay. Where did you think this fake news came from?
Thank you very much, DBS Management. Deltans, good morning once again. Actually, what came in last week was a kind of shock to all of us. First of all, the Delta State Independent Electoral Commission, TSEC, they called for a stakeholders meeting on 30th of April, which we all were there as political parties, other stakeholders. There was no time the DSEC announced to us that so day is the election. We're only informed that they are getting ready to announce election timetable. That's by DSEC chairman, Dr. Jerry Agbaike. So, of which we had a fruitful interaction that day. We asked our questions, we raised some issues, which I believe he said he will address them. But going outside the venue that day, just towards evening time of the very day, we started seeing online timetable and all that. So we were like, what is really going on? But funny enough, if you check that online timetable, nobody signed that timetable. It wasn't signed. So I have to draw the attention of the DSEC. Say, what is going on? They were all surprised too. They were all surprised. So what happened that day, the timetable came from people who don't mean well for Deltans, mischievous persons. There was no timetable released by DSEC on 30th of April, but we just came out and saw timetable flying everywhere. So, and DSEC quickly debunked it, of which, as the chairman of IPAC, I called a press briefing. I briefed the press, and I told Deltans, I told all the parties, that what is going on is not the set timetable. So people just came up just to a kind of create tension in the states. And we have warned those who have done that to desist from such, because Delta State is a very peaceful state. So that's what really happened.
How devastating would it have been if that fake timetable was circulated, and knowing how devastating it might be, having an idea of it, are there any moves to get those who actually spilled out this fake timetable, get them and let the whole law handle them?
Yeah, that issue should be handled by the DSEC should be able to investigate what really happened with the law enforcement agencies and all that. But I believe if such people are being caught, should be brought to book. Because that thing almost cost a lot of things in the states. First of all, it created the impression that DSEC is too porous, they're not credible. That was the impression they created. That how could they just call stakeholders meeting and tell us that the timetable will soon be out, all of a sudden we start seeing timetable all over the media. So I think in this case, all hands should be on deck, because even the media too did not help the situation. The way they spread the timetable. Guys, I want to advise that, especially the media, once you see a news like this, try to filter that news before going on air. Try to investigate, especially when there was no author. The thing wasn't signed. So, but we thank God that everything came to normality, because the SEC debunked it, IPAC too debunked it, and we thank God that today we are set for election.
Okay,
Because-
go ahead.
Because the SEC has already released the timetable for election, which is quite different from what was circulating online. Quite
Okay.
different.
Okay, so you were specific with the media, but I wanted you to lay emphasis on the type of media. Is it the social media? Because the social media is usually the ones who even give you result of elections that have not been held, or the mainstream media. So be that as it may, was there any disparity now between the date that DSEC has brought out as compared to the fake date? Were there any differences, or they were still the same format? It's a format. A format, the day you will submit, the day you would do your litigation and all of that. Did this thing come out? Is it exactly as it came out?
Yeah, no. There's a lot of difference.
Okay.
A lot of difference. Thank God, when I was coming, I harmed myself. This is a DSEC guideline and timetable for this election, which I will leave the copy for the management. Today, they gave us that the election is coming up on 13th of July this year, 2024. The other timetable was saying 20th July.
Okay.
And of course, if you have 30th of July, other things will definitely change. Other things will change. So a lot of difference. So they just speculated and just tried to cause tension in the states. Maybe trying to paint black and blue and all that. So there's a quite difference from what was my regular fake timetable.
So, okay, Francis, we have to...
Just to move on, how would you rate the readiness of DSEC as regards conducting this election? Do you see, are you confident that they would conduct this election credibly well?
One thing we always have in mind as a people is that when it comes to election like this, we always focus on the umpire, that is the commission. But there are many actors in this election, in the different elections. Political parties, the security agencies, the media, and all that. There are many actors. But the last meeting we held with DSEC, they assured us, the chairman assured us, Sir Dr. Agbaike, that this election will be free, fair, and credible. And for us, we have no doubt to disbelieve him. So first of all, we have checked the background of the man on the affairs, at the helm of the affairs, which is the DSEC chairman. This person has served in Delta State Civil Service Commission, Public Service Commission. He retired as a permanent secretary. 11 years in service as a PAMSEC. And is somebody who has attended different both local and international programs when it comes to strategic studies and all that. A PhD in political science. So I believe such a man has made a name for himself, has carved a name for himself. So he will not just come with all this, we are confident that such a man is competent to handle the second election.
Beautiful. In other words, you have passed the vote of
Confidence.
high confidence.
Yeah. Well, for now, with this I've just narrated now, such a man with this kind of profile, we are confident that he will conduct free, fair election. So, and we have told him that we have made your name. So please, match your words with actions.
Okay.
And he assured us that we'll do that. So we won't have that. So let's watch and see what will come out of it.
You mentioned political actors and other, people who can come and affect the elections. Tell me about their role in this election, political actors, even the electorate, as it may be.
Okay, first of all, just like this fake online timetable we are talking about, timetable was yet to come out, and some people are already on the media circulating a fake timetable. These are the actors. We are the political parties. We are major actors. And as I pack, let me just say it, we have a lot of roles to play in this election. A lot of roles to play. Going by IPAC code of conduct. And that is where I'm coming in. That is the actors we're talking of. If you check the guideline, the election sensitization we can start by 27th of this month.
Okay.
In IPAC code of conduct, if I should be specific, page 25, article 9 of IPAC code of conduct, we have role to go for election sensitization. And we are preparing on that. We are going to go around the 25 LGAs to sensitize the people that this election is our election. It's not going to be conducted in the Nasarawa or here. It's Delta states. And it should be peaceful. We should see ourselves as borders. Because when you talk of the councillorship election, this is just community election. You know me, I know you. So why the fighting? So we as political parties, we have a role to play by telling our people that, come, do the right thing first and allow the sect to do their own. Right thing by following the guidelines, in terms of doing your party primaries, in terms of campaigning, in terms of bringing people who are credible to mount polling units as your polling agents. These are the things we need to look into. By the time all these are being put in place, then allow the state to do their own job. Then security agencies being professional in handling their duties when it comes to election issues, election materials, election monitoring, being professional. This is where they will come in too. So we have all these people to come together and make sure that this election will be credible, not only the SEC, not only the commission.
Okay, so quickly as a follow-up to that now, we see Delta State as a mini country. For example, you have the north, the south, and the central. At both central and south, you have the opposition party at the senatorial level. Then at the House of Rep, as of Rep, you also have other parties also playing what they know how to do best.
Yeah.
At the local government level where IPAC is in charge, are we expecting a colors of parties at this local government election moving forward?
Yeah. For instance, my party, for instance, Allied People's Movement (APM), we have notified the SEC of our readiness to conduct primaries. I'm aware other parties, so most other parties have already done that. I met with one APC steward a few days ago. He said they have notified the SEC. So which means many parties are ready to participate in this election. We are going to see competition all over. And since, as a political party, since February that the tenure of the current, the past this elapsed, the past chairmanship elapsed. As a political party, you don't need to wait for the commission before you can start preparing for election. We have been preparing on ground for this election, just waiting for the electoral power to blow the whistle that the time is now. So it's not that they took us unawares.
Okay.
So we have been preparing. So we are going to see different political parties on ground for this election. And that is why I said that we have, in fact, there are many roles to play. And we're expecting that the DSEC should just do what they have told us in our last meeting. which is giving us a free, fair, and credible DSEC election. Local government election, sorry.
Let's talk about the electorate and their own role to play during this election, knowing that you said it's going to be an election where we're going to see many parties come to contest for the particular position or different positions therein. What do you expect of the electorate during this election?
What to expect will be very, very simple. You come out, you vote, conduct yourself. They have no trouble, they have no violence. Like what I rightly said, is just a family election, a community election, local government election. So we expect that they should come out that day and conduct themselves. And again, the other actors too are the candidates. The words you use during campaign matters a lot. You don't go to campaign and start talking about another candidate. You go to tell the people what you will do for them when you merge as a chairman or the councillor. Issue-based campaign. So that's what we expect from all these actors. So that on the day of election, you will see people, they will come out peacefully, vote, wait, count your vote, and go. And with that, you see that the town state will be peaceful after the election. Yeah, and we expect that the peace we have been enjoying will continue to enjoy it after the election. So,
Okay, I want you to do something for us, for our viewer out there. Can you tell us the roles, the relevance of these roles that have been contested for, so that the electorate understand how pivotal it is to go out there and cast their vote during the election day?
when you talk of the roles, as a chairman of a local government,
Or as a councillor?
or as a council of a ward, you are the eye of the people as a councillor in your own ward. You are the eye of the people. We have councillor, we have chairman, just like House of Assembly, House of Reps, and all that. You start from somewhere. These are the grassroots. You are the one to see that, yeah, see what my people, this is what my people needs. For instance, governor cannot be everywhere. Why we are being elected as a councillor is to look at what your people needs in your place. In terms of water, in terms of road, this and this and this. So that is your role. You have a role to play there. As a chairman, of course, when the allocation comes, you know that the right thing should be, people, you must provide amenities for your people. So there are many things. If you want to start explaining the role of chairman in local government, council in local government is enormous. But the major thing is that the people you are representing must know that we have somebody there. That's the major thing.
Okay, thank you so much, Prince. But one question I'd like to ask before we let you go. We've had cases of what they call consensus candidates. Do we see IPAC playing that kind of role to say, okay, because we must push X, Y, Z out of the way, let 3, 4, 5 parties come together and present a common cause? Do we see that playing out quickly?
Let me tell you something. There is no issue, or there is nothing bad in having a consensus candidate. Everybody must not be there. We have 19 political parties today. 19 people will not be a chairman of a local government.
Yeah.
One party must win the election. And let me tell you something. Consensus candidates, there are a lot of benefits in it. One, it will bring peace in that particular local government. The issue of litigation after the election will reduce. It's a question of, party A is not strong enough in this local government. Party B is not strong enough in this local government. We come together and we agree. Maybe in Warri South, my party will be more stronger. I can talk to other parties. Please support me. And if they agree, there's nothing wrong in doing that. So I believe that I will always encourage that parties should be able sometimes in an election like this, where you know that you're not strong enough, you come together for the interest of peace. There's nothing wrong in it. That does not mean that your party is not strong enough to win the election, but understanding. So I believe that when the time comes, if Party B discover, if I feel that I can approach Party B to come and support me in a particular local government, and he agrees, there's nothing wrong in it. So that's what I see when it comes to political candidates.
Okay, I'd like to thank you so much, Prince. Easy Henry, you've actually spoken so much to this conversation. Both were coming to debunk that initial timetable that was spilled out, and to currently tell us now that elections will be on the 13th
13th
of July. So between now and then, campaigns can begin and all of that.
Yes,
All right.
campaign week start very soon.
Okay. We'd like to thank you so much
Thank you very much.
for being part of it all. But just before we drop, can you just give us a word moving forward?
Yeah, Deltas, as the Delta State Chairman of Interparty Advisory Council, IPAC, the body of all registered political parties in Nigeria and Delta State beyond, I want to tell all of us that election is not a do or die affair. If I keep saying that if you don't win today, you will win tomorrow. Let's embrace peace. Delta State is peaceful under our amiable governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oboriwori. He has tried by making Delta State comfortable for Deltans. So let's not, because of election, bring violence in the states. So I beg all of you, I urge all of you to embrace peace in this election. So at the end of the day, we have cause to glorify God. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think the summary, peace.
Yes.
And actually, that is what we actually need. We don't need acrimony just because of politics. Even though we have divergent views, but we have common interest. All right, that's it. This one will drop the conversation. This morning we've been speaking with Prince Henry Eze, Chairman Interparty Advisory Council of Delta State. We'll take a break. We'll hope to also invite him subsequently, but we'll take a break for now. I'll be back shortly.
That's going off over.
Anything said it is key. All right, you welcome back. And in case you're just joining us, it's Monday's edition of the program, Morning Ride, and in a couple of minutes from now, we'll be looking at what the papers are actually saying. But we'll just take a flashback, more like a retrospect on the recently concluded Workers' Day celebration all over the world, and by extension Nigeria. You know, there were a lot of high hopes, you know, most especially from the federal government. But I knew fully well that the federal government might not be able to respond to the demands of workers at 615,000 naira per worker. I don't know, how feasible.
I don't know if I'm trying to be very cautious of the words I use because these are the guys who actually are, I don't know, you call them those who are representatives as far as labor is concerned. But I don't know if I should say that it looks like there are no economic team, you know, around the NLC, TUC, every other body involved in, you know, pushing for 615,000 naira for a worker as per minimum wage. Because there are many factors to consider here. Yes, in earnest, sincerely speaking, when you talk about minimum wage, it should reflect, you know, the standard of living of the people. If we look back into the 70s, when there was an increase in the minimum wage one time, you would see that the naira was even higher than the dollar. We had 0.15 naira to a dollar back then. So making the minimum wage 120 something naira was quite a big deal. It means that workers earned very well at that level. I know that things have gone awry and things have gone so sad over time. It has spiraled into an era where minimum wage cannot even get you a bag of rice. And that's a problem, really. But, notwithstanding, increasing minimum wage to an extent where it will be difficult to pay a worker and it will actually destroy capital of an entrepreneur is suicidal for a nation. Mind you that in a proper climb, if Nigeria was not bedeviled with security crisis, by now we should be having foreign investors come to establish their businesses, basically because the price of labor is relatively cheap. And so that attracts business owners, entrepreneurs on the global scale to come and invest in your country, knowing that they can actually do cheap labor. There in the country, people do it at the Philippines. Matter of fact, they even bring them, export Philippines to other countries to do labor. So that's one of the advantages of such. And then if you look at the concept of what minimum wage on its own means, it means that that's the minimum payment you give to a worker. So any establishment would have to pay 615,000 naira per worker. It means that if we have over 1 million workers in Nigeria, the budget will have to be over 615 billion naira for all the workers. I don't think it's feasible. It just looks like the labor unions are trying to do haggling, trying to what Nigerians call pricing the market. You come, you say how much last, you know, 615,000 naira, how much? Talk your own. It doesn't sound so sophisticated and elite of labor unions. We want something that is feasible, that the government cannot make a joke out of, that we ourselves as workers would look at and understand that this is realistic, that could inform workers to be more resilient when there are industrial calls, like let's say industrial strike. Workers can be more participatory, knowing full well that this was feasible and were denied of it. But when they hear 615,000 naira, you see workers even wondering how realistic that is. It is not realistic. How much do companies make? And let's talk about how the spiral effect of that, inflation and hyperinflation that might come at the end of the day. So if we begin to talk about giving workers 650,000 naira, we start asking ourselves the questions if the companies can afford to pay their workers 615,000 naira per staff. I don't know how many companies are going to fold up people are going to be wishing they would end that 650,000 naira. So it almost looks laughable for me. But I'm not an economist. I'm not a specialist when it comes to that area. It just doesn't seem feasible for me as a person. But yes, the wages of workers should be increased to meet realities. It should be increased. And no questions on that. And also, the debate as per looking at the cost of living, first minimum wage should be considered. Should the cost of living of Nigerians. And social investments should be made really that Nigerians can have or find things more easy to do. And not forgetting the fact that if you're increasing minimum wage, you're talking about just workers. How about those who are not government workers, either state or federal level? How are they going to survive? It's how the inflation thing is going to take over the entire system. So I don't know. I just wish that, more work should be done. The tripartite committee trying to look into this one, put in everything they can put in to make it work really. Because for me, I can't see it working, and it just looks like a joke too.
Actually, because while I'm asking all of this is that the TUC chairman and NSC chairman, they were on the box here, and they kept reiterating 615,
No, there's lots to have them.
615, and also used certain benchmarks to actually equate why it should be 615. We took into consideration, okay, the senators, the House of Rep, the Assembly members, their take-home and all of that is quite modern, But you see, if you say 615,000, they'll be ready to buy Gary for 20,000 naira.
That's just how it's going to play out because you're
Because
not
it's
going to
be a
increase the
spiral.
wage of the market man and
No,
woman.
yes, of course, because the landlord will ready to tell you my 3-bedroom flat is 3 million. And there's nothing you can do about it.
You have to pay for the rent.
Because
Everybody has to
you
meet up.
receive as much as 615,000. And then you can pay for a house of 3 million. The Keke man obviously from DBS to Business Junction ready to pay 1,000 there. So I think we should be more liberal about it. If we can't get to the sky or the stars, we should be able to get somewhere.
Yeah.
As far as the space is clear, space is concerned, something more reasonable. That yes, we know that we will definitely be able to tag along. So most workers actually expected to hear, especially Delta State workers. But they were surprised that His Excellency has said he will meet with Joint Council.
Yeah.
And it didn't go too well with the company for that. He's dropped it.
There are several things. There are several things to consider. I know how Nigerians felt when the president of the country, who will be 1 year in office, I think next month, said came out and just declared fuel subsidy removed during his inaugural speech. Nigerians felt sad about it because that devastated the entire country. So I think that it's quite pivotal for leaders to meet with committees, have good extensive meeting before coming to make declarations that could affect the finances of people, whether positive or negative. So on that note, I can understand the governor, but I really hope that work should be put in place to ensure that workers' welfare are met. We have to meet up with workers' welfare so that indeed the state can fare well. A happy worker is a productive worker,
That's correct.
really,
That's
and
correct.
the country, the state will all need that. But yes, we can tender a little patience right now and see how things unfold. But for now, citizens should also be deliberate about how their skyrocket prices, just trying to meet up as well. We should remember that while we are complaining about our oppressors, we shouldn't as well turn out to become oppressors in our little capacities in our little offices. So we must ensure that we do that. That's the only time that things can work. This change, like Buhari preached during 2015, begins with us, really. That's what I think.
Okay, we'll take a break now, and when we come back, we'll be looking at what the papers are actually saying this morning on Morning Drive. Bonus edition still does. Right back. back, and in case you just joining us, it's Monday's edition of the program, Morning Ride, and we are that spot where we'll be looking at a few of the tabloids this morning. Charity Day begins at 12. But joining us on the conversation is Mr. Enite Guerra. Enite, would like to welcome you, sir.
Thank you for having me and good morning.
Good morning and welcome to
Yeah,
Paper
so
Review.
we'll just start with the Pointer newspaper. Pointer has it this way. Above the masthead, local EFCC denies list of ex-governors under investigation for alleged corruption. They denied that they don't have a list. Well, I don't want to believe what the EFCC is saying here. So you can get details of that above the masthead, which continues on page 3. NGOs call for state of emergency on electricity. Powers vote of no confidence on BDEC. Calls for decisive action. Forum of the non-governmental organization in Delta State has urged Governor Bilowori to take decisive action in addressing the energy crisis plaguing the state. All right, below the photo speak of that, take nature's challenges to God in prayers. Bilowori task Christians. All right, that's it on the Pointer this morning.
We will now look at the Nigerian Observer this morning. And here, the big story on the front page of the Nigerian Observer says, more costs peep in as GSM networks press for higher tariffs. The writer says, backed by experts, industry statistics. At the top strip of the Nigerian Observer says, GTCO, Zenith, Access, 5 others report 1.13 trillion naira profits in quarter 1 2024. Underneath the photo speak right here on the Nigerian Observer says EFCC disowns purported list of ex-governors under investigation. We had that on the Pointer newspaper as well. This one is on page 3 of the Nigerian Observer. On page 4, illegal gold mining site uncovered in Edo, residents seek government intervention. And on page 11, Presco generates 32 billion naira profit in 2023, highest in decades. These are most of the stories rocking the front page of the Nigerian Observer this morning.
All right, once we're done with the Nigerian Observer, our next paper is the national economy. The national economy is more like an economic-based platform. But we'll just take the headline there. If my PD is ready, we'll just take the headline of the national economy that has it simply put, Nigeria records 1.9 assistant.
Okay, our next paper for review this morning, we're sorry about that little break. Trying to handle some technical glitches here. We'll look at the Nigerian Tribune now, and some stories are right here on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. The big story, US, French military bases, COP, NBF, ex-DSS boss, others caution FG. That's on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. We have at the top strip, we will support wage increase if, this is coming from NECA, you can find that on page 7. As you see on page 7, we have exporters abandon 616 containers inside Lagos ports. It's coming from APM terminals. And finally, on the front page here, still on page 7, says, Zenith Bank shows continued support, rather, Zenith Bank shows continued market leadership with 189% growth in Q1 earnings. Let's move down to the side of the photo speak of the Nigerian Tribune. Only PhD students eligible to bring dependents to UK. This is coming from Envoy. That's on page 3. On page 25, Lagos to remove over 100 shanties under Adeniji Adele Bridge. Page 25 also, NDLEA smashes international drug syndicate, intercepts cannabis concealed in gas tanker. On page 4, Serap sues governors, Wike, others over failure to account for 5.9 trillion naira, $4.6 billion loans, publish agreements. Underneath the photo speak, we have how we will tackle illegal miners. It's coming from the EFCC. And finally, this story right here on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune says, domestic airfares remain high despite reduction of aviation fuel cost by Dangote. That's on page 29. The writer says, new pump price yet to take effect. The next would be the Daily Times newspaper this morning.
All right, the Daily Times is our next paper for review this morning, and the Daily Times has Bob Dema said, Nigerian Air Force killed terrorists in Borno and Niger airstrikes. That's Bob Dema said. And the screaming story here, Tinubu's son on Chagori's board, a conflict of interest. That statement is attributed to Alhaji Atiku. Says investors can't come to Nigeria through propaganda. All right, let's see how all of that plays out. High cost of medicine. Federal government promises to make drugs available. I think we need to take the federal government by their words. And below the photo speak of this tabloid Traditional Rulers Council tax Nigerians on unity and prayers for our leaders. Nigeria's UK's trade relations currently worth £7 billion. NDLEA cracks down on drug syndicates, arrest 5 in international operations. And the Benue State orders warring communities to keep up disputed river. That is, I'm sure that is where the whole conflict is actually coming from, where that river is, and they've been asked to stay away in their own interest.
All right.
That's it on the Daily Times.
Next paper, the Abuja Inquirer. It says, Coastal Highway, again, Atiku attacks Tinubu. The writer says, as Ohaneze seeks Umahi, Obi dialogue. At the top strip of the Abuja Inquirer says, media body to blacklist IGP over journalist abduction, indicts federal government. That's final story on the front page of the Abuja Inquirer says, elections, NBA clears Afam Osigwe, 36 others, disqualifies 12. Elections, NBA clears Afam Osigwe, 36 others, disqualifies 12. These are the stories on the front page of the Abuja Daily Inquirer. We'll check out the business day right now.
All right, the business day. The next stuff. I will just take this simple one. Nigeria's cargo tracking plan hits brick wall of corruption. Federal government missing $235 million annually. That is as a result of the tracking of the cargo hitting brick wall of corruption. You can imagine such a whopping amount. All right, on the earpiece left, Nigeria's banks' low assets to GDPE explains recapitalization. All right, I think that's all we'll take on the business day this morning.
All right.
It's more of a business storyline. Yeah.
Okay, our next paper now is the Vanguard. The Vanguard newspaper. The big one on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, local firms, IOCs to bid for 12 onshore, 7 deep offshore oil blocks. The writer says as FG woos investors at OTC 2024. At the top strip, why FDIs continue to elude Nigeria. This is coming from Atiku on page 9. On page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper, you'd find this one. It says Zenith Bank grows gross earnings by 189% to 782 billion naira in quarter 1 2024. We'll move on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. At the side, by the side of the photo speak, we have Edo Guba, Obasaki dares Obi-led legacy group. That's on page 28. On page 9, multiple checks. FAN, NSA move to reduce security agents at airports. On page 8, employers labor. Let's go again. It says employers labor angry over unending fuel scarcity. Underneath the photo speak, marketers remain upbeat as petrol scarcity enters third week. That's on page 28. On page 25, Minister waits in as condemnation trails FIJ journalist arrest. Minister waits in as condemnation trails FIJ journalist arrest. And in sports, Super Eagles will beat South Africa Benin. This is coming from Finidi George, the new coach of the Super Eagles. Now we'll move to the New Telegraph this morning.
All right, the New Telegraph is our next point of call, and it simply has it this way. The New Telegraph. Quarter 1, first quarter of 2024. 8 banks fees, commissions income up by 80.5% to 339.8 billion naira. That's quite whopping for me. And below the photo speak, below the masthead, we have it, renovation. Foreign firms almost misled us into rejecting local contractors. That's the leadership of the National Assembly, saying that Zenith Bank grows gross earnings by 1.189%. That's a good one. And the FAN NSA to eliminate multiple physical checks at airports. All right? And the catchy headline, Spain doctors kickstart early campaigns as race for 2027 presidency begins. All right? I'm sure we should have indulged with the first 4 years before looking at 2027. Okay, we know the photo speak there. Policy change. Only PhD students can bring dependents to UK. All right, that's it for the New Telegraph this morning.
Okay, we look at our next paper this morning, and that is sports now. Then there's the Sporting Sun. Big one. Chelsea to offer 2 stars plus 77 million pounds in Osimhen swap deal. I know many Chelsea fans will be anticipating this. And still on Chelsea, right here at the Sporting Sun, Chelsea hammers West Ham. We have also Liverpool 4, Tottenham 2, Red win 6-goal thriller. And there are many other sporting stories here. Haaland sends warning to Arsenal. Manchester United sets 50 million pounds asking price for Sancho. Messi makes history with 5 assists, a goal for Inter Miami. Havertz sends clear message to Man City. We have this still on Sporting Sun, rather. We have Bayern eyes Eric Ten Hag as next manager. And some of these stories are very exciting. Let's take a Nigerian story now. Finidi, I have plans to beat South Africa and Benin. That's on page 6 of the Sporting Sun. And finally, I'll take this one. It says Iheanacho unsure of future amid Aston Villa Crystal Palace interest. That's on page 6 of the Sporting Sun this morning. Let's now move away from sports and look at the leadership newspaper this morning.
And I'm sure we'll be wrapping it up with the leadership. The leadership has was mastered. Zenith Bank grows earnings by 189% in the first quarter. NPP cautions Tinubu against military pacts with United States and France. Below the masthead, federal government mew over requests by telcos to raise their tariffs. And on the flush left, local government elections. Yinga seeks review of electoral laws. That's on page 17. Yaradua hand over notes to Jonathan was hijacked. That statement is credited to Yaradua's brother, and you can get details on page 16. Shatima off to United States for America-Africa Business Summit. All right, and the National Electrical Regulation Commission caps power supply to Benin, Niger, and Togo. All right, that's it for the leadership, and that's where I would break the discourse, looking at the major headlines critically. Okay, I'd like to start with the tariffs. If you ask me, anytime, the tariff syndrome is becoming one too many. We're just thinking of NEPA. Then suddenly, it's parabolic. It's mighty, what's it called? It's people that are into decoder.
Okay, DSTV.
DSTV.
All right.
Also said they're also going to be having a hike. And now it's the turn of telcos. What's happening? I'm beginning to get scared that we're running into troubled waters here, Titanic.
I think, first of all, good morning, everybody. Let's look at it for what it is. I think one thing stands out. The cost of doing business is increasing. You have the issue of power, you have the issue of petrol or petroleum products and their attendant price increases and the rest. So they too know that really to keep up doing business, they need to increase their tariffs. And these are sectors that affects people every day because these are things we use every day. But the problem with Nigeria, the Nigerian situation is that we like foreign things more than local things. So you will see that a lot of these people increasing tariff are the foreign companies. So you'll see a Nigerian who tells you, not to make an advert for this company, but he will tell you Glo is not good. You prefer MTN. Glo is Nigeria. The tariff is better. You buy credits there. Yes, you get a fair deal. Now, even on the other side, DSTV, we have the local one. But you see Nigerians will tell you, no, this one. So until they will keep, this tariff increase will keep biting hard on us as long as our appetite for the foreign products, is on. If not, there are alternatives, but it's just based on who we are. So the tariffs will keep increasing because the cost of doing business too has increased. And so these are normal things that we expect. But there are alternatives if you want them.
Let's look at the front page of the Pointer newspaper. I'm looking, trying to see that headline here. It says NGO calls for state of emergency on electricity. The past vote of no confidence on BDC, and as well as saying that they need to have decisive decisions, or they should be more decisive on them. I want to share your thought. Do you think that's come to that state of emergency for electricity in the country?
No,
Or-
they're not talking about the country. They're talking about BEDC,
sorry.
which covers Edo, Delta, Ondo. I think about 4 states. or thereabout. Now, the problem is that if you follow the issue, even the federal government has, even NEC, BEDC is up for sale because it has performed poorly since it was the unbundling of NEPA was done. It's one of the worst in the country. Others are doing better than them. Metering has been very bad. The provision of power has been bad. Till this day, we still find that residents still buy transformer, still buy transmission lines for themselves,
Yeah.
and BDC comes to collect bill or revenue. We still find that even they cannot provide electricity for their those who are subscribed to their system. So BDC has been very bad, and so the call is in the right direction. You notice that was it last 2 years, even up to last year, BDC have been having a tug of war, almost 8 years with the Edo State governor on performance and all the rest. And so when they're talking about the Delta, calling on the Delta State government to call on the state of emergency on BDC, it's a call in the right direction, because I don't know how we do it in Delta State. As bad as BDC, I've not seen any governor who has called them to order. They seem to be having a free
Flow of business.
day in Delta State. They're not doing anything. I know even your station suffers from BDC's incompetence. So it's a regular thing people in Delta State have been going through. So there's
I remember
need
2 years
to be
ago,
talking about it.
one Harrison Gwamishu did protest, BDC must go. I think that was 2019, not 2 years
Yeah,
ago now.
alongside the
Victor OJ.
yes.
Yeah, one box. It looks like that did not yield
No,
any result.
it cannot. It's not about just protesting, BDC must go and all the rest. You must ask yourself first, how did it, what's the business model? How did they get their license? You cannot just push them out if they have their license. Are you buying over them? It's like I was telling someone, I said it's now up for sale. Those people complaining, even the state government can buy a share of it now. So what's being done? So it's not about just shouting they must go. No, it's about ensuring that the system that put them in place works. Because if they go, who told you a better one is coming? Because when this discourse came into being, then I think it was Goodluck Jonathan's era.
Yeah.
They were just giving to cronies, their friends, people who had no experience in power generation or transmission. And so Nigerians are now suffering the effect. And if you look at the contracts they used to give them out, they were so difficult to break until the last government forced the banks to take over. Now, as it is, the government has said, because when the government removed electricity from residual list now to concurrent list, where everybody can play the game, we are finding that the BDC is now in trouble. So that's the way to go. But now, since it's up for sale, we just hope that they sell it to those who are competent to run it and those who have done it before. Not just bringing anybody who is a politician or who has big money to come and buy it over and doesn't know how to run it. Because at the end of the day, Deltans or Nigerians, those who use them will suffer.
So is it not possible by extension that the state, for example, Delta State, can decide to invest into it, probably have the private partnership participation playing in all of it?
No, I just said it a while ago that even the state government can invest. But you don't invest without having the technical knowledge. Because that's why the state government industries fail. We've seen it in Delta Glass, it has failed. We've seen it in Textile Mill, it failed. You don't just invest because you have money. You invest when you look at the competencies. Do we have the technical partners, the right technical partners? Not just to make political statements because you have money to spend. Because if you have the right technical partners, yes, you can do it. And it will be lucrative for the people and also for the state. But the state should not just delve into that place when they don't have competence to do it. They will fail.
Okay, let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. Big headline: Local firms IOCs to bid for 12 onshore, 7 deep offshore oil blocks as FG woos investors at OTC 2024. This sounds like good news.
Yeah, since the Bola Ahmed Tinubu government came into power May 29, 2023, he has been trying to woo investors to invest in Nigeria because for a long while, what we've been having in the oil sector has been companies leaving because of the issue of oil theft, insecurity in the Niger Delta, and all the rest. But so far, I think since the last government, there have been some relative attempts to reduce these adverse effects on the industry. And so the president has been going about trying to bring them back in because that's one of our major sources of getting foreign exchange. And so we have oil blocks now for sale, up for sale. And if they come in, it will be good for the country. It means added revenue, it means added employment, and then improve livelihood of the people. So it is necessary that the government does all it can to get these people, this sector working, because that's our one of the mainstay of our economy. So it's a good one. It's a win for the government if he gets it through.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward now, we also have this one from one of our dailies that says EFCC denies list of ex-governors under investigation for alleged corruption, using the Yahaya Bello incident. Now, I think it's not only Yahaya, a lot of them have actually gone through the knife of the EFCC, but for them to now come and deny not having a list of governors.
No, that's not what EFCC is actually saying. A list came out. EFCC is saying we didn't put that list out. It's not our list. So, that's what they are saying. They are not saying these governors are not under investigation. But they are saying the list that came out is not from us. Because what we are finding these days is that with the era of social media and everybody wants to have breaking news, people sit in their kitchen or in their toilets and write anything and it's out there, trends, because for
Sensationalism,
yes, and to
clickbait,
just clickbait and to have traffic on their sites. That's what they most times do. And EFCC, being an institution, has a right to tell you if that's their list or not, because it can create a lot of issues. And they are saying it's not our list. We are not saying we are not investigating persons, but that list out there is not from us. That's what EFCC is basically saying.
To sway a little away at least from the topic itself, but still on the topic, though, I heard someone once upon a time say that ex-governors in Nigeria should just, after their tenure, submit to the EFCC for investigation as a routine in Nigeria. Do you subscribe to that philosophy?
You cannot just, you've not been...
just the same way, just the same way that you come around and there's something they do before they come in as governors. They have to show their properties and...
the code of conduct.
No, show their properties and everything they have.
we just code of conduct.
Code of conduct, yes. Afterwards, still come around and
No,
for
that means
transparency and everything.
no. What they do, this is what happens in government. When you win an election or you are appointed, given a political appointment, prior to your assuming office, you fill your code of conduct form. Then when they're about leaving, I think it's about 3 months to the end, they also do that same thing and submit. So the public might not know, but they do that. They always do that. But you see, if you're talking of investigation is not a one-day thing.
Okay.
It's something that goes through a process and it's quite long, lengthy, because you must do it according to the law, and you must realize that this person you are investigating, you cannot just begin to investigate someone except there's an allegation against that person, or there's something questionable hanging on that person. So Yahaya Bello's issue that we are hearing, it's not only Yahaya Bello probably that is being investigated. Probably you have 36 governors being investigated, but his own is just spectacular. So if you're saying a governor should, when he just finishes his term, submit himself, no, he has already done that by submitting his code of conduct form prior to his exit. So they are going to compare, look at it within the law, ambits of the law, to see, okay, has he flouted issue, and then are there petitions, against him? Those are the things they're going to look at. They're not just going to say, oh, Mr. XYZ, we have just seen that you were a governor. That means you're a potential criminal. Let's check you. It doesn't work that way. If you do that, you waste a lot of resources of the state trying to pursue things that don't exist. And even if they exist, you still pursue them, and you waste even the time of the organization. The organization, there's a point for which every investigation starts. So you don't build something on nothing. So it starts from probably an allegation, a petition. If there's none, how do you build it? You just choose you and randomly to just. It's not a drug test, and even if it's a drug test, you must have played in the field.
Yeah.
Where they just choose
For
people randomly.
doping test.
So it's not that way. I think
I think
the
I
biggest
get your
problem we have
Mm.
actually have to do with the immunity issue. Yes, immunity is relevant for so that governors can proceed without hitches. But you see, there are a lot of areas where they flout laws that make it possible for people to raise eyebrows. The issue of security votes that cannot be accounted for. Those are the areas we have to look at. How do we make laws to ensure that things like this, like security votes and others, are well, utilized and checked? Because once you leave those ambiguous areas open, people will think that they are stealing, even when they are not stealing.
Okay, this one is not so good for Nigerians who want to jackpot policy change. Only PhD students can bring dependents. It's coming from the UK. I know how many Nigerians have taken advantage of the educational programs in the UK to bring in family members and the rest of them. How does this resonate with you?
Every country has what it wants. I think we should follow that story down. I think they said the number of migrant dependents from Nigeria rose from 50,000 to almost 500,000 thereabout, which is quite large. The UK is not a big place. It's a very small country, very, very small. And, they have to regulate. They have real migrant issues. You are only looking at it from the Nigerian side. Most parts of the world migrate there, from Pakistan, India, China. So they have to regulate it. And, there's the issue of abuse. What you should know is this. When they opened the gate, it was because when they exited out of the EU, they needed, some, workers, labor. It was a labor issue. Now they've met that target, so they'll close the door. It's just like what anybody does. You are trying to fetch water into a can, it's full. You don't still leave it on the tap. You close it. So that's what they've done. And so they are saying we don't want it anymore. Like I always tell people, I say policies made by any country is first in the interest of the country. So whether you like it or not, they've met their goal, and so they put a plug on it, and that's it.
So still sad news for many Nigerians who might have planned their way to travel. People sell properties anytime to travel abroad.
I'm sorry I might sound this way.
It's okay to sound
but it's
that
not
way,
smart selling property to travel abroad. There are a lot of Nigerians sleeping on the streets. A lot. How many people? When it was raining, they will go. Nigeria happened to me. They will bring pictures. How many pictures are you seeing now? The reality are setting. You see, the first school fees, when you sell your house, it's easy to pay it because it's in bulk. But when you are working from there, pay it and see how difficult it is. How many of them call you now? Those days, when they left first, they were doing video calls. How many?
In fact,
The reality
I'll
are
let you know that some of them say that don't mind the pictures we send. It's not really easy out
The,
here. We
re-
just
the,
take
re-
good pictures
the
now.
reality are setting until you go, you don't know. Some people left their banking jobs as we speak now. They are working, sweeping train stations. Yes, you say, oh, but the salary is big. Let me tell you, if you've done psychology, sociology, you see, when you have desires to attain, you get to a point. It's not money again that becomes the desire. It becomes the self-worth. So a lot of people now are living depressed. We hear a lot of stories coming in from those who migrated, how marriages are breaking up, not because of pressure of little things that they could have even just accommodated over here and it's nothing. But now, pay bills and see how it is. Every day you get into your house, you are seeing one bill from Water Corporation. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, you've lived 20 years, you've never paid one water rate. One water rate you've never paid. So many things are happening. So what we're saying is, I'm not against traveling, but I always tell people, do it rightly. Don't move because your friend moved. You must know why you are moving. And if you have something doing that is doing well for yourself here, I would advise that, man, invest and try and live your life better. But not that you are 50 years, you are trying to migrate to the UK. You will die in a box and they will bring in you.
People spend the rest of their lives trying to travel. To add my voice to that, I know people who even become a little bit nonchalant in school, even in their place of work, just because the only focus they have is to travel.
And let me tell you how funny the thing is. Many of them leave Nigeria, telling you Nigeria is bad. but they still collect salary from Nigeria. That's still part of the problem. Ghost workers in Nigeria. If it's bad, why didn't you stop collecting Nigeria's bad money? You know, because they still need it to pay bills over there.
Right.
So we're saying that I'm not against traveling,
No.
but first know it. The UK did what they did because they wanted workers to fill in the gap that other European countries when they left
Brexit.
the Brexit.
Green card.
Now they've met that target. They don't need you anymore. They don't need your dependents to come and give problems to their social system there. So they've moved on.
Okay, Daily Times, above the masthead at the top strip, NAF kills several terrorists in Borno, Niger airstrikes. I just like it because I remember one time we had this story about some killings that were wrongly done, and we bemoaned it. Some people say it was about calculation errors and the rest of them, but this looks like good news. At least for once, let's talk about NAF doing some good justice.
No, the Air Force, not just the Air Force, the Army. I don't know. You know, most times these stories are not in the front page because it appears somehow, I'm sorry to say, our major papers now enjoy putting bad news
Bad
out
news
there.
is good news. That's the first thing you learn in mass
Yeah.
communication. Bad news is good
So
news.
that's what they do.
Yes.
So, you know, the truth is, the Army has been doing very well. I tell you, when last did you hear terrorist strike? Okay, very, not the way it used to be. Occasionally, the last ones we had were the kidnapping of students,
Yes.
and I believe they are working on stopping those things. So even across the Niger here, with the activities of those boys, they've gone down. So those are things that they are doing right gradually. So I think they should build upon it and ensure, because if we have peace, it is easier for Nigeria to develop, you know, on the right trajectory.
All right, that's very true as well. On the Nation newspaper, the headline, we didn't reel this one out, was that government begins disbursement of 50 billion naira grants to small firms. The writer says 1 million businesses in 774 local government councils to benefit from free cash. We hear of these loans being disbursed every time, but we don't see the outcomes that much.
The perimeters at which
We always hear about loans.
they used to disburse most of
No,
these
they are
loans.
there. They are there. You see, it's just that I always, there's something I did with my kids yesterday.
Okay.
We do every evening, we do question and answer. And you ask your kids a question about Europe, they answer it. Ask them a question about Nigeria. They don't know, and it's a big problem. So I told them you must be watching news, local news. Now, the reason is this. They have always been there. Government has been talking. I followed when the forms came out. And funny enough, was it 2 weeks ago, the forms were in local governments here. They were all crowded. Probably you as journalists were not even following what the people on the streets were following. They've been there. They've been following. The forms have always been up there for people to register. So they do this work. There are offices, if you go to the humanitarian ministry here, there are offices I know in the secretariat that handle these things. The government has been working on it. The issue is that probably you've not met someone
With
who
the
is direct
beneficiary.
beneficiary. Depends on your cycle, you know, or your circle, if we say that. So I think what government should continuously do is to ensure that there is more awareness of these programs and probably publish the names of beneficiaries so that Nigerians can know that it's a more transparent process. Yeah, I think that's necessary.
Yeah,
But
that's-
apart from that, people have been receiving. I knew when it went to local government, I knew I was with somebody, they were calling that the crowd was too much in the local government, the funds will not be enough for the crowd. So it has
Just
really
go.
been there, yeah.
I'm glad we want to see the effect, the economy.
No, there
That's
is.
on that's on
let
that
me
fault
tell
too
you
about
one
that.
thing. Let me tell you one thing. There is. Do you know if you consider the fact that everybody shouting hardship, 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 and yet the society is still moving. The banks are still making profit. Everybody we complain, oh, tomatoes is expensive. Go to the market, they will still buy the tomatoes.
Yeah, true.
It's because money is still being pumped into the system. It's somehow you know, because you know government talks about ways and means. I don't know if you follow those things. These are ways and means. Looking at how to push money into the system. It's entry. But you know, I don't know how we think you cannot really judge the entry of this money until you look at the GDP results. And the GDP results have been good. So it means things are entry. Those are the only way we can check it.
Okay, that's very reassuring. I like that. Let's go and see Atiku, the PDP candidate during the last election. He's now mocking Tinubu. That's how Daily Sun puts it. Says Atiku mocks Tinubu. The writer says propaganda can't attract foreign direct investment, insist award of coastal road contract to Shagri constitutes conflict of interest. I mean, insist award of coastal road contract to Shagri constitutes conflict of interest. Because now when he was talking about the son of Tinubu being involved in that deal as well. Let's
Being
hear
on the
it.
board of
You know-
Chagri.
I don't know if you listen to Emeka Ihedioha when he left PDP. The reason he adduced to his leaving PDP, I watched it, and you know, Ihedioha said something which probably becomes relevant to the way Atiku is talking. He said the reason he left PDP is that PDP has lost the retraction of being a real opposition party. Now, and he gave an example that if you go back to prior 2015, and if you saw the way the opposition went against the government, it was different from what PDP is doing. This now, and he said it shows the party is losing grip. Really, you see, it's not every policy you attack, and even if you choose to, the mode of attack should be well thought out. Remember, prior to this recent outburst, he first argued, he had argued on the same contract, this Lagos coastal, he had argued on costs, which Umari came and
Broke down again.
you know, completely messed the whole thing up. He had argued that it was not, even all the opposition parties, they've argued on it's not relevant now, it's not something, and all the rest. And now you are coming, you see, when you cry too much over one thing, just one thing, people begin to become tired of you. Like, is this the only thing happening? Because I'm not against, yes, there might be conflict of interest, which if there are, you can petition for a proper investigation to be done. But you see, his mode of attack or criticism is becoming too childish. Because now you've left from the fact that it was not relevant, you are no longer there. You've left from cost, you are no longer there. You are now coming to conflict. Over time, people get tired. So I think because he wants to run for 2027, he should begin to show us what you can do differently. Because funny enough, Atiku, I'm sorry to say I'm not PDP, I'm not any politician. He's the worst to talk about conflict of interest. Because he oversaw BPE at the time, privatization, which he messed up, which he traded by himself. Everything was public conflict of interest. So I am thinking that if I were Atiku, I will do proper criticism down. Choose what you want to say and say it right. Take a punch and stay back. No, you know, there are so many things that you can use to criticize this government, but choose it rightly. So that when you do it, the public can follow you. You see, he has said it now. Nobody, there will be no effect. People are like, Atiku, don't talk again. So I think they must get it right. Especially because, funny enough, if you look at what's happening now, the PDP is becoming weaker, only at state level now. They are becoming weaker gradually, because they're not truly doing what the opposition should do. They should get it right and criticize this government right and attack right. Not every day you just wake up, you just say one, you break up, you say one. Over time, people will not take you seriously. It's just like syrup. Nobody takes syrup seriously anymore. Because it's just, Atiku is becoming like syrup if you're not careful.
Now, let's look at this coastal highways that have been causing this conversation, coastal road, causing the conversation back to back, and the whole concept of it. Do you think it's actually relevant? You know, people have complained that there are other bad roads, you know, in the country. Why is that one? Why is that one? When there are roads to fix
No,
in the country.
no. You don't say because your roof is leaking, then if you will not buy another land. No. You can still buy another land even when your roof is leaking. You can. It doesn't stop it. The truth is, the question is it relevant? Yes. A road that will link estates. Guy, do you know if we are in Escravos? Escravos, if somebody leaves Escravos by boat and you leave Escravos and you want to take land to Lagos, he will get to Lagos. You're not in Lagos. Escravos is closer to Lagos than Asaba is to Lagos. But yet, the person from Escravos will come, they will carry goods through land and take untold hours. Calabar same. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So if you can reduce travel time, why not? Then also remember, roads open up places. It's not the only place in the world that has coastal road. This is not the first time we're talking about coastal road. Thailand has coastal road. Brazil, most countries that are by the water always do it. Now, let me tell you what happened. If that coastal road comes, if it comes, though they started, so let's say when it's completed. Let me use the word when it's completed. It means that the man in Warri going to Lagos will not pass Benin anymore. He will not go to Benin anymore. It means that this our Asaba road that is becoming too stressful for everybody coming from Calabar. We have to pass Asaba to Lagos. It's crazy, for God's sake. It will not pass. So this congestion issue will reduce. It will open up those parts of the country. And do you know what it means to join 8 states? You know the economic importance? And let me tell you another thing too. Let's leave the importance on the road. How do you turn around an economy? You turn around the economy by infrastructural development. That's the only way. So you are saying government should do what now? Be fixing old road and leave new ones. It doesn't work that way. You should mend your old clothes and not buy new clothes. That's the same thing you are saying. So you see, sometimes that's why I say when we want to criticize rightly. Are you as a Deltan, I should be among the people in front to say this road must be done. The person in Akwa Ibom will tell you he wants the road because it doesn't make sense for the man in Akwa Ibom. If you can Calabar, going to Lagos from Calabar, you will pass Abia, you will pass Enugu, or Imo, whichever you choose. You will pass Delta. How many states will you pass? But if it's from there going, you will just do in between 6 states and get there in 6 hours. So if it's done, why not?
Yeah, most especially since we are the coastal line.
It's a coastal line. Why not? And that's why I keep saying, those of us in the South, we play stupid politics. Sorry for my wrong word. Remember, when Amechi was Minister of Transport, Amechi was doing trains. He did Lagos Ibadan, Lagos Abeokuta, he did Kanu, all those ones. He did them. Then one time, they were to take the loans for, we all shouted. If they took loans to do not, why would I not agree with them to take loans and do myself? So sometimes, my God said, these are not things we should be talking about. That's why when it was muted, then, funny enough, the real idea of coastal road came in 1955 by Okotiebo, a Delta. That was where it started. Because he knew, Ogeyeto Ekpe, that road should have been done since. It has not been done. So why are we talking about it now? It's something that we as Deltans should crave for. Why would I be going to Abuja, Lagos from Warri? Then I will first of all go through Ondo, Ore, Shagamu. It doesn't make sense. So please, let's not. This is a no-brainer. It is necessary for the South, and on that premise, I think I support it. Not thinking I support it, and I think even those of us in the South, it will open up those of our communities that are for now. Most of our communities are seen as backward, they're not there. But now they'll be in the forefront. Yeah. You know the money that will go into our communities.
Yeah. Okay.
Market they are going to settle a lot of properties out there.
Property. Apart from that, hotels will open up. So many things. You know what will happen in our communities. You know the tourism potentials that we're going to have.
Rural, urban areas.
And just tell them the rural urban migration. They will be there. They won't want to come here. So that we're saying.
Okay, that's a fair one. Now, market remain upbeat as petrol scarcity enters 3rd week. Well, let's hear your...
No, you know the issue of the petrol scarcity is the issue of IPMAN and federal, is it NPDC or one of them, on the issue of this bridging gap. The bridging gap, because they said there are some monies, or not that they are not, petrol is there, but the issue is those bridging gap. And I think government has been talking with them. They are saying they have a backlog of some billions of naira that the government needs to pay. And so I think that's what's happening. But as at yesterday night, they started easing off. Because I know Abuja now has fuel. Some days are already easing off. Because the scarcity didn't even get to Delta. So many of them are easing off because the bridging gap.
People who had to
adjust their pump price.
Apart from adjusting their pump price, they sold at particular pumps without actually navigating the entire.
So it's gradually easing up, and we pray that government, the discussions progress well, so that we can get it right.
Okay, before we let you go, you mentioned Serap, so I'll call Serap. Serap to court. Serap to court. Order Wike, Sani, others to account for 5.9 billion naira and then $4.6 billion loans. Well, is it not? I think I like it.
No, you see, read those stories. Most times, you cannot tell, how do I put it? We have the FOI, the Freedom of Information, law is there. If you want to get details of certain things, you just apply.
But the writer says they want details of the loans and tenors agreements published.
No, see.
Is it not fair enough?
No, that's the same thing I'm talking about. I want you in DBS to publish your staff list. Meanwhile, if I write to your admin department, it will give me. What's the difference? Must it be out there? Let me explain something. It is there. If you need it, go and get it. You see, have you seen a true loan agreement? It's not a one-pager. A true loan agreement with the terms. Some of them are as big as books because the terms are so much. It's not like you cannot put them in papers, but what volume? And they are not necessary things that the public consumes every time. So they are saying the Freedom of Information Act is, if you want it, go and take it. Just write to the Federal Ministry of Information, Finance, that I want the agreement for this road to this road. Because the law says within so day you must give the man if he asks for. Simple.
Okay, if you don't get it after writing, what's
Then you can go
course
to
of action?
Then you can do things. The law provides those.
Because that therapist going to court.
Let me see. I might be wrong, but this is a normal perception. That's why I used what article is doing at Gajali to Serap. You see, the issue about Serap now is that it appears it plays more on media trials than the reality. How many cases have Serap won? How many cases really follow through? The issue here is, because at the end of the day, these things are there. Just write for them and go and get them. Must we go? Because now, that's the problem why a lot of countries are stopping NGOs. Because when you get international donor funds, you have to now justify the spending. And most of these are the way they justify spending. And it creates unnecessary hitting of the polity. It's not necessary. Write for it. Then if you see things that are not right, publish it. Budget is doing it. I don't know if you know budget. They are doing it. They have a copy of the budget. They say, okay, this is true. They go and check the road. It's not done. They publish it. So why is Serap doing something different that others are doing correctly?
Okay. All right, we'd like to thank you so much, Anita, for actually bringing us up to speed as what most of the people is actually saying today. Thank you for your presence all the time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll drop this conversation here now. We'll take a break, and then when we come back, we'll be looking at other sports on Morning Rise. Stay with us.
related to water activities are eliminated, as well as if you cannot eliminate, you should be able to manage and prepare for eventualities when this happen. Water is make up a large mass of the earth. If you are very familiar with the knowledge of the earth, you discover that we have limited lands compared to water. So everyone around the world will one time or the other in their life, one time or the other in their life, being able to assure that they might be able to have been able to travel or water or have any other business to do with water. Now, when we look at water safety in general, we're talking about those things. We're talking about those things that one needs to know or put in place to ensure whether you travel on water or you go on water for leisure, or you need to have a swimming pool within your home to ensure that anybody who comes in contact with that don't lose his or her life at any space. This is what we mean by water safety. So what are the basic things that we need to understand when we talk about water safety? The first is that, as it is customarily under the Health and Safety Law, as it's customary under the Health and Safety Law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is also important that we know that anybody who have anything to do with water, pool of water, professionally or for leisure, casual, and all that, must have to understand what we call water and the safety measures that you need to put in place for you to be able to survive in this environment. What do we mean by that? What do we mean by that? We simply mean that if you must have an activity on water, then you must have a basic knowledge of the risk associated with water in particular. How do you get this knowledge? You must or you need to undergo a basic water safety course within a particular time. I'll give you an example. If you need to swim, somebody will need to coach you on how to swim, and that is learning. If you need to travel, probably your work professionally, or have to go through water on a regular basis, then it is compulsory, it is mandatory under the Nigeria Health and Safety Act that you must undergo and certify under a water safety course. And if you've been able to undergo a water safety course, then we should be guaranteed that at least 80% of the risk that will come as a result of an accident on water, only traveling on the river, or training others, or having activities within the water pool, or even being caught off guard by flooding, that you're going to be safe. And this will lead to reduction of mortality rate as in that line. So the second thing you need to know if you have to go on water, if you need to go on water, then you need to know that everyone who goes on water, who has business to do on water, must have its minimum standard. That is, you must put on a life vest, or simply called a life jacket. If you need to go on water, you need to put on a life jacket. Whether you know how to swim, whether you are a professional swimmer, or you are just under a learning course, or even children that will need to go on the pool of water, even at home when the water is so small, you need to ensure that the person will need to be on a life vest. What is a life vest? A life vest is a floating device that will be able to sustain the human's head above the water level in terms of any activity that you run on the water. What is important to us when we talk about water safety and life vests? It has come to our notice that everybody tends to understand that anything you pick is a life vest. Life vest in itself comes in different variety, which is classified as type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, and type 5. Why are they classified in this regard? If you are probably swimming on your swimming pool within your house, you don't need a life vest that is going type 1 life vest that is going to sustain you when your boat wreck in the sea. So if professionally you work in an offshore environment or you live in an island, definitely you will need what we call a type 1 life vest. A type 1 life vest is designed to ensure that even when somebody flow into the water, a vest like this, and you flow into the water as a result of shipwreck, and you become unconscious, in as much as you are in that vest, your head must be sustained to ensure that you have a constant oxygen. That is to say that when you are motionless, the vest automatically turn you facing up and suspend your head above the water. No matter what your weight will be, that vest will sustain you. And no matter how long you stay underwater, there is guarantee that your airway will be open and you get constant oxygen along the line. Why is it important for those who have their major activities on water to always go on type 1 life vest? It's because you don't know when it will happen, and when it happens, you don't know how far you are from the seashore. Thus, we always recommend that you understand why you need to use a type 1 life vest. Type 2 life vest is an ordinary floating vest which you commonly see everywhere, and it's cheap, so you see it everywhere around, where people who are supposed to be doing the swimming in the swimming pool under the watch of a lifeguard put on. When you put on a type 2 vest or type 3 vest, it means that when you're on the water, it helps to sustain and gives you ability to swim and control yourself in that regard. But for the type 1 life vest, you need to be a professional swimmer to be able to control your movements in that regard, because it's going to suspend you and suspend, obviously, your hand, and you need your leg to be able to sustain to swim into direction. But for the type 2 and the type 3, you might be able to control it. But the danger is, if you shipwreck and accidentally you become unconscious, there is tendency that you are going to drown in that water if you're not able to provide a support. Type 4 and type 5 is the popular ring that you see when you go to swimming pool. It means this is actually a type 5 life vest. We call it a life vest. Other people call it a floating device. It means it's a throw-on device. When a shipwreck and you need to rescue somebody, you throw this device onto the person and the person grips. The good thing about this is that once you come in contact with it, you will be able to lie down on it confidently, and it keeps you going. In as much as you reduce your activity, it keeps you floating on top of that water until help arrives. When you have this type of vest, you are sure that anybody who goes in and is swimming, even when you don't know how to swim, this type 5 will be able to sustain you. Another thing is that when you have the type 5 and somebody is rescuing you, the person can just tie a rope attached to it and drag no matter the distance you are, and you are being able to be brought out of the water. Again, it is important for you to know that whether you are a professional swimmer or you're just a novice in swimming, that for you to embark on any water journey, you need to have a life vest on hand. Thirdly, when you go on water drive, avoid the use of phones. What do we mean avoid the use of phone? The phone is an electromagnetic device that tends to travel within an electromagnetic wave. It means that while you're using your phone to stream, while you're using your phone to share public posts, it interferes with the electric mechanism of that boat, depending on the boat. That is point one. Point two, if you're using a local boat where the sailor stays behind and you're using your phone to video, you're using your phone to stream, what it means is that you would give a divided attention to the sailor who is controlling that boat, because it needs to be 100% focused. Why does it need to be 100% focused? On the river, we have what we call water hyacinths. These leaves that you see within on top of the floating or on top of the water floating. If the boat happen to drive into a water hyacinth, there's possibility that the propeller pick up the hyacinth and the hyacinth flings off that boat and the boat wrecks. It means that you need to ensure that your sailor is never distracted. And when you use your phone to stream, or you use your phone to record, you know, most times the people suspend the phone on top and block this man's view. You put the entire passengers on that boat at risk. So we encourage and discourage you for any form of the use of phone to stream or to video while you are on a boat ride. Please avoid it because it's extremely dangerous. Next, never get involved in alcohol when you want to go on a boat trip. Alcohol and drugs and other drugs are powerful toxics that might drive you out of point. I will give you an example what the water ride looks like. If you're on a boat, you don't have an opportunity to come down from the boat and step on the dry land. If there's turbulence in the boat, everybody's fate lies in the bloom. It means if that boat tumbles, the ability for you to survive reduces. So if anybody within the boat is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and the person starts an unusual movement in the boat, there's tendency that that boat will capsize. And when the boat capsizes, everybody within the boat will definitely drown. Even if you know how to swim and you are 5 kilometers away from land, from the seashore, it means that you will definitely suffer and drown. Again, don't forget, when you are on a high sea and you are putting on life jacket, sometimes it attracts sea wild animals. So you need to avoid alcohol when you are going on a boat ride. Ensure that people on land understand your trip. Let's say, for example, you are moving from Asaba to Bomodi via boat. It is good for you to check on with your relatives or your supervisors on ground the time you take off and your expected time of arrival. Before you go on that ride, ask your sailor, how long will it take me to move from Asaba to Bomodi? And he says 3 hours. The person who is expecting you in Bomodi know that if you leave by 2, you should be there by 5. Once it is 5 minutes after 5, the people get worried. And what happens is rescue team will start coming to look for you, because they know when the ship wrecks, there's no way your phone can be on for you to be able to contact. So share your travel plan with people on ground, your supervisor, your relative, so as to ensure that when anything happens, they will be able to rescue. I'll give you a critical life truth when it comes to lifeguard. If the lifeguards within the shore know that you are expected to land on shore in 5 minutes, and they don't see you at 7 minutes, they are trained professionally to go back on the roof to check whether anything has happened to you. The earlier they respond, the better for the victims. Know how to rescue somebody if you need to go on a boat ride. Learn first aid, because drowning is inevitable. It's only when you know how to save somebody that is drowning, that is drowned, that you can be saved as well. Probably if the shipwreck, if the people around you who know how to swim are able to provide first aid for you, probably if the sailor knows first aid before you get on board, and the sailor is a good swimmer, and the shipwreck, when you are rescued on shore, on board, please know that it is not the hospital that is the basis. Anybody who drowned on the water needs oxygen, because oxygen supply would have been cut off. And when oxygen supply is cut off for a period of 6 minutes, the brain cells start dying. So for you to go on a boat ride, ensure that people around you know how to administer CPR to ensure that when anything happens, you can be able to be saved. I believe these little tips will be able to guide us for whenever we take a decision, whether you're going for picnic, or you're going for normal swimming, or you're going for professional tour on the river, on a boat ride, to be able to stay alive. Staying alive is our priority here on the Alta Television. Ensuring that you're safe is a responsibility that we hold. And taking these simple guides would definitely keep us safe and ensure that professionalism is upheld. My name is Paul Orukamaya, your guide on safety tips.
This is where we'll wrap it up for today. I would like to thank those who've actually made it a success, from the producers down to the people behind the cameras. On behalf of the production crew, my name is Onomes Tano. God bless Delta State. God bless Nigeria.